This video is part 2 of how tests are made. Here's an example from the Smarter Balance Mathematics General Item Specifications, grades 6 through 8 content specification, as no consortium has released or developed any of this information for the next generation science standards. Content specifications are an important tool that will inform the development of all items and tasks. Content specifications also provide detailed information about the content that will be measured by the test. Content specifications also provide important information about the claims educators will make in assessing the achievement of the standards. And they define the specific knowledge, skills, and abilities that will be the target of the assessment and the type of evidence that will be collected through student responses. Finally, content specifications provide the foundation for which item specifications will be written, so educators will depend on these to guide the development and review of item and tasks. To help examine the content specifications using science a little more, here's an example of the NAEP 2009 framework's content statements, and let's consider the NGSS in looking at biological evolution and unity and diversity as an example that we showed in the last video. Where might this fit given the NAEP framework? That item was given in grade 12, but the NAEP assessment is not a grade level test, and our Montana teachers in 2014 aligned this item to grade 8. Using this information, consider the content statements or the grade guidance that is given in L8.12. Similarities among organisms are found in anatomical features, which can be used to infer the degree of relatedness among organisms. In classifying organisms, biologists consider details of internal and external structures to be more important than behavior or general appearance. Next, look at the guidance for grade 8, examples, observation, and phenomena. Instruments, measurement, and representation, and the technical vocabulary needed. Using Smarter Balance as our model, we can see guidance for claim, target, standards, grade, and rigor or depth of knowledge levels, and revise Bloom's taxonomy. Achievement level descriptors, required evidence, allowable response type, construct relevant vocabulary, target specific attributes, and non-targeted constructs. Additional guidance found in the NAEP item specification includes the distribution of item types, the distribution of content, illustrative item examples, clarification statements, and examples of generating and interpreting items. Now it would be helpful to know a little more about the item development piece, since we have somewhat glossed over this. The following definitions are used for various parts of an item or task. An item, the entire item, including the stimulus, question and prompt, answer, options, scoring criteria, and metadata. All of those features will be used to help describe what an item is. A task is similar to an item, yet typically more involved and usually associated with constructed response, extended response, and performance tasks. And what is a stimulus? The text, the source, the video clip, or graphic about which the item was written. The stimulus provides the context of the item or task to which the student must respond. So we've thrown around some examples of what constructed response, performance tasks, and selected response. But here's a little more information about what defines each of these. So if we look at the selected response, we can see that the scoring is objective, fast, and expensive to score. Typically, this is your multiple choice, drag and drop, those kind of items. If we look at constructed response, these include both short and extended responses, like an essay or a short answer. And typically, these are human scored. And performance tasks. These are usually complex and multi-steps, and also measure complex assessment targets. Here are some additional item definitions, and we will include an assessment glossary within the Get Assessment Wise module for this course, so that you can get more familiar with some of the language that surrounds assessment. Here's an example of the features included in a multiple choice or selected response item type. So the STEM is the prompt. Items are clearly written to elicit the desired evidence of a student's knowledge, skills, or abilities. And with the options, the grammar and the structure of the option should match the STEM. There also must be a key with one right answer that is clear and unambiguous. And distractors, the important thing to know about this is that it is important to include likely student errors or misconceptions about this learning goal. Additionally, here are some tips or considerations when making your own items. Items should be free of bias and sensitivity concerns. The vocabulary should be accessible and the language appropriate for the grade. You should provide easier questions in the beginning to give students a chance to warm up. And items requiring higher order thinking are dispersed throughout the test. Constructed response or multi-step questions are included to provide students opportunities to demonstrate their depth of understanding. And consider testing time. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes for short answers and 3 to 5 minutes for extended response items. There is varied distribution of easy, medium, and hard difficulty. And items attached to passages are written in the same sequential order as the passage. Remember, all of this is about gathering the right evidence to inform your instruction and knowing whether or not your students are on track. So in order to do this, you really need to collect the right types of evidence to answer the question, how do you know if they know this? To help you focus on alignment, evidence, reliability, validity, and construct relevance, try this simple T-chart exercise. As you think about the standards in assessing student understanding with your own formative assessment, consider this simple way to ensure you are eliciting the appropriate evidence. What does the student know? Think about the content and then focus on the evidence production. How do you know they actually know that? Was it a good guess? How can you be sure? Also think about what it is you want students to be able to do, or think about specific verbs the standards call for. What is it that students should be able to do as they master this concept? And what patterns do you notice in these verbs or skills that you tend to elevate in your classroom assessments? Again, we are providing a backwards way to go about this since we are giving you already aligned items. Looking at these exemplars and sample tasks, some key considerations for our formative assessments may emerge. This item writing tip sheet may also be helpful to you to use as a resource as you familiarize yourself with these concepts to consider when writing your own items. We have gone through most of these examples, but a one-page summary could be helpful to you. To summarize, let's consider what connections we have for using these items with formative assessments. We have talked about how to ensure confidence in measuring content and practice, and we have looked at example items. Think about these formative classroom assessment techniques. How could you use Kahoot with items? Kahoot is a free game-based learning platform that makes it fun to learn any subject in any language on any device for all ages. This could be used for a simple pre or post test, or it could be expanded into having students create their own test questions and quiz their peers. How could you use a KWL or a KWH-LAQ? The KWL charts are graphic organizers that help students organize information before, during, and after a unit or lesson. The K, what do you know? The W, what do you want to know? And the L, what have you learned? If we look at how this has been adapted to the 21st century, the KWH-LAQ, its spin on the graphic organizer is the K, what do they already know about the topic? The W, what do you want to learn or find out? The H, how will they go about obtaining this information? The L, what did they learn from this experience? The A, what actions can be taken based on this new knowledge? And Q, what new questions have arisen? What about the muddiest point? Let's look at the CAT website to see more details about classroom assessment techniques. This is a free website that provides some explanation of several of the classroom assessment techniques out there. In the descriptions, you can see the teacher's purpose, the learner's purpose, timing, suggested feedback, and an example of how to use each strategy in instruction. How could you use analogies? Analogies are a useful formative assessment strategy because it allows you to collect something that students are familiar with and then apply that to new information they have learned. This helps with the transfer. I, for one, know in my biology classroom the use of analogies when learning about cell structure and organization was very helpful for the students and a great practice for them to get them able to transfer existing knowledge to a new situation.